Hello, my friends. Hello, my life warriors, wherever you are in the world. This is the Day In, Day Out podcast. This is episode 36. Today, we had the pleasure of having Alison Edgar, the entrepreneur's godmother, on today. We talked about many a thing. We talked about her best-selling book, Secrets of Success. Sales. We talked about the up and coming, how can I say, tough times ahead for many an entrepreneur and business leader for the next few months. And yeah, I've got to say, she's definitely a lady you would want in your corner. And much of the advice and information she has to give out is priceless. I found it very insightful to have it on the podcast. I'm sure you will too. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this episode of the podcast, and yeah, I hope you have a great day too. Anyway, bye bye for now. Enjoy the show, and yeah, be awesome. Peace. Hello, my friends. Hello, my life warriors, wherever you are in the world. My name is Miwa B. I'm your host for the Day In, Day Out podcast. This is episode 36, and I have Alison Edgar, who with me today, who is the godmother of entrepreneurs. Yes, best-selling author, TED speaker, and yes, generally bubbly person all round. How are you today?
I am on top of the world. I've had a great start. I've had a busy morning. I've been on webinars and I've been looking forward to being on the podcast.
Oh, superb. May I ask which your webinars, which webinar were you doing today?
I was on a panel in Southwest England talking about the future of business, how they can prepare for coming out of COVID-19 and what business looks like moving forward. So I've got an opinion on everything, right? So I do a lot of work with the BBC.
Yes.
And when you do the work with the BBC, they've got like a roster, like a computer database of all the people that they call on. And they've got a little note on who they are and what they do. And my note says, Alison Edgar, the entrepreneur's godmother, opinion on everything. So it's
Oh, I'm loving it. That's great. Oh, may I ask, with regards to lockdown, but sort of the aftermath of lockdown, what is your kind of opinion on that at this present time? Because I know.
So it's really interesting. I think, I genuinely love business and I genuinely love entrepreneurism. But there's different, there's different ways that people run a business.
Yeah.
So you get people like, when you say the word entrepreneur, you think about Richard Branson or Lord Sugar, and these guys are quite big risk takers. There's if you look at the true entrepreneur story, a lot of them have already had to remortgage houses, and they play the big game. But then we've got the startups or people who are just less risk takers, but they're still running a business. So to me, there's no right and there's no wrong, but the common denominator and the theme at the moment is so close to my heart because it's all about sales. And if you look, a lot of people, when they're running their business, you've only got to watch things like Dragon's Den, haven't you? A lot of business owners don't know the numbers. They're running a business, they're on the hamster, they're really, really busy, but they can't work out why the bottom line shows that they've not made any profit. And to me, it's a bit like being on a diet, right? So if I said to you, like, oh, we're all going to go on a diet, how do we lose weight? You would say, well, we eat less or we eat healthy and we exercise more because it burns the calories. And it's the same as business. You sell more, spend less, you make profit. So if you look, you're furloughed. A lot of people are furloughed at the moment. So they're trying to create a business for themselves, a side hustle to be able to make some extra money coming in. And I think you just have to have a really good idea that people need. You've got to not create a chocolate teapot, as I would say. You've got to know how to price it, because if you work out that it costs you 20 quid and the market research shows that people will only pay 10, then you're not going to sell any of it. So, it's really finding out exactly what's in demand, how you price it and how you make money. And it sounds so simple. We'd all be rich and But fundamentally, that's all it is. So sales always, and proper sales, because I think we've all, been on LinkedIn, or we've all, met somebody at a networking event and they're like, buy my product, buy my product. That's not sales. That's pushy. It's wrong. When it's delivered correctly, sales and customer service is exactly the same thing.
Ah, I'm liking it. I'm liking it. Yeah, like this is the thing with regards to like sales 2.0. Like I'm sort of the old school, get on the phone, give them a call, and like, you know what I mean? Like not so much like I've done the old school crank out the numbers, like bam, 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 hit this like KPI or else. But yeah, I think today with sales 2.0 with via LinkedIn and everything like this, I think it's good, the new sales. But I think over the next few months, definitely over the next 18, maybe the next 18 months, I think that's going to be a lot, the sort of more old school sales approach is going to definitely be needed because tough times are coming, as they
Yeah.
say.
I mean, it's really interesting. I love sales. I could talk about sales all day. But again, I come from old school, as we, as we mentioned it. I come from an old school background, and my first sales role was working for BT at the time in one of the first call centres that they opened in Scotland. And it was direct mail, direct response. So it was all outbound. And we did a lot of the time have the name of the person that made the decisions. But if you look with things like LinkedIn, you don't have to go old school and go, can I speak to the person that deals with your blah, blah, blah? Because right away, we're all trained, as gatekeepers. We know that's a sales call and we block it, send me an email to nevergonnahappen.com and I'll get round to it in one day that's never going to happen as well. Whereas I think if you wanted to speak to the purchasing manager or the marketing manager, can I speak to Alison Edgar? Hi, oh yeah, we had a chat on LinkedIn. It's warmer. I think the new version of sales is the combination of the old school, that you still have to pick up the phone, we still have to have Zooms, we still have to do things, because ultimately people buy people. But the tools that are supporting that are much, much quicker, much slicker, and much better now than they've ever been. And I think this is where the top performers, it's interesting because people often ask me about the generational gap between the young guys and the older guys. And old guys and girls are sometimes really great at relationship building. They've really honed the art, but sometimes they're not so up to date with the tech stuff that goes behind. And then the younger salespeople tend to be really good on the tech. They're really good at the messaging. They're really good at the WhatsApping, the marketing side. But they have a lot of them have a fear of the phone because they've never been brought up using the phone. And I think, again, it doesn't matter what age you are in sales. It's the combination of those two skills that make the really great salespeople.
Yeah, no, I have to say, if you've got a whole array of tools, use them all rather than not all of them. Speaking of like old school, you have like worked for Yellow back in the day, like for quite a little bit of time. You must have a whole array of stories doing that, like working in that type of environment to bring you forward to the present day.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting. So I worked for like Yale.com, Yellow Pages for 15 years. So that's quite a long time in sales as a top performer for one company. It was quite a high pressure sales. The targets, the KPIs were high. But what it did give me, huge. I mean, it gave me more positives than negatives. That at the time when I started with them, like the training they gave you was undoubtedly some of the best sales training in the UK. Without, I worked for BT and I worked for Yale. Both were phenomenal training experiences. And what I did was, it was such kudos to get that job at the time.
How so?
Well, I'll give you a clue. In 1998, right? So I'm not giving away my age here. But in fact, it was before that. So 1996, I applied for a job. I wanted to do field sales. I wanted the car. I wanted the fancy laptop, I wanted it all, right? I was not that busy, but I wanted it all. And they said, no, they would give me a job in telesales. They wouldn't give me a job in field sales. And I think this is a lesson for everyone, that a lot of people would have settled and hoped that they could have done that. But I really wanted field sales. So I got a job with Dow Egberts, the coffee company, for 18 months, smashed the targets, got the experience. And 18 months later, in 1998, I knocked on the door again and went, hello, it's me, I'm back. And I think, again, then it just goes to show that not only are you selling your product or your service, you're selling yourself. And tenacity is a skill that, you must have, and you need it even more now than you've ever needed it.
Yes.
So from then going, hello, it's me again, 100 people went for the job. So to get a job at Yale at that time, you had to go through paper sift, you had to go through assessment day, you had to go through another assessment day, you had to go through panel interview, you had to go through one-to-one interview. So it was like a 7-stage process to get the job. But in 98, the basic salary was £32,000 in 1998. So, and that didn't include the car or the bonuses, the commissions, the this, the that. So it was a job that everybody wanted. So obviously things have changed a lot. Their product range changed. Print is no longer, people don't sell print in directory form. They've moved all digital. But what's been really interesting is, unfortunately, just before lockdown, they were due to have their annual sales conference. It was due on the 1st of April. And I've got a question for you. So they brought in a guest speaker to talk about sales and to talk about small business and tenacity. Who do you think the speaker was at the Yale sales conference?
I was busy at the time, so it couldn't have been me.
You?
Richard Branson? No.
No. Something much better than that.
Much better than Richard Branson. Karen Brady? No.
Much better. It was Alison Edgar.
Oh God, no.
So, and you know what? It's such an honor to have worked for a company for such a long time. And when you work for a company like that, you dedicate a lot of hours, a lot of time. So they asked me back. I've already done a little session with them while they've been in lockdown. But I think that you kind of know when you've made it, when your ex-company asks you to go back and be the keynote speaker at their sales conference, don't you? Lovely.
Definitely, because yes, I'm sure there's many a person out there whose ex-company would be like, going, yeah, would you want me to come back and speak? No.
Yeah, I know. I know.
You have pictures up on the wall, so security.
Yeah, but to be honest, again, I think it's interesting because there's been a lot of personnel changes in the company since I left. But one of the things that and I cannot, I sort of have to pinch myself when I talk about this. The thing that sort of goes before me now is the book. So I wrote Secrets of Successful Sales in 2018. It launched in March 2018. And I don't know, for any of your listeners that have ever written a book or thought about writing a book, for me, it was really scary because I'm dyslexic. So I taught myself I couldn't write. So I think maybe some of your listeners, that might be resonating with them.
Yeah, no, because this is the thing. When I read that, you produced, you made a book with dyslexia. It's one of those things. Okay, people with dyslexia known to be very creative and think a little bit outside the box. But to do a book, that is one hell of a challenge, to say, especially with dyslexia as well. How did you find that?
Really, well, again, I think, as you say, dyslexic people are really creative. So I tried to cut every single corner that I could think of. It didn't mean I had to write the book. So I thought, I know what I could do. I can narrate it and then I can send it off overseas and I'll have a book. No, that didn't work. I can get a ghostwriter. I'll pay a ghostwriter. They can write it and I'll have a book. And I did. So I spent £3,000 on a ghostwriter to write this book. And it came back and my team. So touch wood, I've got a team of young people that I adore them. It's like a second family to me. And the team read the book and went, Alison, that's a load of rubbish. That doesn't sound like you. And I'm like, oh, right, okay. So we've spent all this money. We've gone for this book, and it doesn't sound like me. What am I going to do? Poor me. Like, you're going to get your backside in gear and write the flipping book. That was flipping, non-censored, not any other one. You're going to write this book. So I did. I had written a series of blogs, and we tied the blogs together. And then Kaya, who I mentioned in the book, she really kicked my backside to write. And then at times I would speak and she would type, and then we would edit. And another girl, Natasha, who's also one of the girls in my team who's traveling in Australia at the moment, she was in Canada, she would do the editing. And we really came up. But the scary thing is, when you write a book, there's two fears. The first fear is, what happens if I write this book and nobody reads it? I've put in all this time. What a waste of time if nobody reads it. But then the big fear comes. Then the huge fear comes. Oh no, what happens if I write the book, people read the book, and they think it's rubbish? Oh, how am I going to cope with that? So you've got all these fears, but touch wood, the book, we launched it in March 2018. On launch day, it just flew off the shelves. I'd done a bit of marketing promotion behind it. I did a wee video, and it was like 20 seconds long, and it was the first copy of the book, and I'm just going, oh, we've got a book, oh, we've got a book, and I'm dead excited. And that video had about 100,000 views, and it sold out on Amazon on launch day. So it went #1 around the world. It was a W.H. Smith top 10 business book. The Independent newspaper voted it one of the top business books written by women for the year. So I think, what's the worst that can happen? People read it and they think it's rubbish, or you don't sell it, or actually, the best that can happen is it flies around the world, people love it, and it changes their sales. So for anybody thinking about doing it, I think, you just do it, because it's, it's definitely something to tick off the bucket list. And the other thing is, I am now 42,000 words into book number 2. So book 2 will be out soon as well.
When do you expect book 2 to hit the shelves? Is it?
Well, I mean, it's really interesting, because if you'd have asked me a month ago, I would have said January 2020. I'm trying to work out the year, January 21. But I've moved into more of a personal development space. So it's based on the TEDx. It's called The Art of Getting What You Want. And the reason I've moved into that space is it's sort of called me, because people read Secrets of Successful Sales that I never thought would ever read it. So, they're not in sales or business. I don't know why you would read the book, but they did. And the comments came back were like, oh my goodness, I'm getting on much better with my partner now. My relationship's great. Oh, and you know what happened? See, when I bought my house, I saved a load of money on it. Oh, see, when I sold my car, I got more money back. Or they're just taking the tips from the book and put them in their life. And I thought, well, I can translate, because if that's Jenny on the till on Tesco, she probably wouldn't buy the first book. But The Art of Getting What You Want could really transform her life. She can have a better life. So that's why the book's really called me. And so, yeah, that's why I've kind of done it. And so fingers crossed, we might try and bring it out a wee bit earlier, because we know there's going to be a big aftermath from lockdown. There'll be a lot of anxiety. There will be a lot of people that will be struggling mentally, physically, financially. And this book is really a great book for them. So I think we're going to do our best to try and bring it forward on the launch if we possibly can.
Okay, liking it. I am surprised to hear when you said, people came to you saying, it's help with their relationships. Because a house, I can understand that. I can understand, maybe getting a better salary at their job. But when you go relationship, it must have touched people a little bit deeper than expected.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you why. One of the core principles in the book, so again, to make it easy, everything, it's that whole KISS thing, keep it simple, silly. I try and just keep everything as straight as I possibly can. And one of the pillars, so the first pillar is around behaviours. So I'm a DISC practitioner. So that's around the psychology of sales. And to be honest, the psychology of sales is the same as the psychology in any relationship. And it's really interesting because we've created a new methodology for the new book based around the sales process that I teach, but again, how you can use that methodology in your everyday life. And I think that's where I mean, even when I read it, I read through the chapters and, we do the editing and we do all the bits and pieces and I think, wow, this book is really good. So it's not that I didn't think that about the first book, but I just think this takes it onto a deeper level for people to really, and let's face it, ultimately we all want to get what we want, don't we? But the people struggle because they don't know what they want and they don't know why they want it and they don't know how to get it. So what I have found writing this book, I feel like I've discovered the meaning of life. Even I'm like, it rocks my world, all the things I've learned. So it's good. So yeah, hopefully this year, but definitely January 21 if it's not out before.
Excellent. I'm liking that. Like, all I've got to say is this might be the start of a great book writing content empire for you going forward.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with it is I think it takes me a wee bit more mainstream. So I already do some stuff on LBC radio and some BBC but mainly in the business sector, whereas I think this can help me move across into more of the mainstream, like magazine type shows like the Loose Women or Saturday Kitchen, or moving into more of a mainstream persona in that space is the sort of plan.
Well, like, this is the thing. I'll just simply say, if the way you, your sort of dedication and focus and commitment, I'm sure like there'll be a time not too long from now when everyone's going to definitely know your name. I think you'll be a little bit more than the godmother of entrepreneurs. Yeah, I'm not just saying, because from going from Yale for being there like from 13 to 15 years, you then like sort of like springboarded into sort of like, okay, being on panels, like judging people, helping, going on advisories. You were like the top UK advisor twice, so voted twice. So yeah, how did you get from doing that in Yale to sort of getting on the whole, godmother of entrepreneurs?
Yeah, do you know what? I think that's a really good question, and I get asked it quite a lot. Not just on interviews, but like people, especially my peers. So in the sales training arena, because there's quite an established, mainly men as well, who are like, at the peak in their careers and at the peak in the speaking industry as well. And sometimes they'll phone me up and they'll ask for like a little chat, and they'll go, how did you, where did you come from? It's like I've appeared overnight, it's like, like all of a sudden you weren't there and now you're everywhere, because I am everywhere. So I think that's a really pertinent question for the listeners as well, because how did I do that? I work really hard. And I promise you, like, I work really hard. And I think that's part of anything, getting whatever you want. Nobody hands you anything a plate. I've got a really strong work ethic. If I could work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, then I would, because I love it. And I think that's the thing. I don't, may I add.
No.
I do believe you have to have a work-life balance, because otherwise you burn yourself out. But I've got really clear plans. I know what I want and I know why I want it. So I think this is the other thing that is a bit of a differentiator for me. To me, the personal development space is littered with the get rich quick people. They're like, do you want to earn 7 figures? Do you want to get rich? Do you want to live in your palace by the sea and drive your Lamborghini? All you need to do is pay me a fortune and I'll tell you what to do. I don't get involved in any of that BS. Like I think, the stuff that's in the book, there is no huge upsell on the end of that. If you follow what I tell you, then it works, because I have done it myself. I think I am incredibly good at self-promotion, but not for the get rich quick, buy me now, pay me a lot of money. But my emphasis is the higher my profile, the more people know me, the more people will be able to, I'll be able to help them. Because if what I teach works, and if they can't find me or they don't see me, and that's the, that's what drives me to get up every single morning. Again, there's been a few strategic moves. So in the book, I talk about Cadbury Dairy Milk and how I compare myself to Cadbury Dairy Milk. So I have created a brand. Like, you'll never see me, I think we're only out on audio, but like, you'll never see me at work without pink on, or very rarely, because people associate Alison Edgar with pink. So it's the brand association. I managed to get myself on stages, which again, like the business show or some of the big gigs, that I just sort of appeared, and I got on the stage. But it's like Ed Sheeran, it's like Adele. People think, oh my goodness, look at Ed Sheeran, he just up there rocking his records, he's done really well. Like, nobody remembers the hours where his fingers were bleeding when he was learning to play guitar. Nobody remembers when he was busking in the town centres. And that's literally the path that I've followed. I thought, well, if you do that and you work hard, you tour, you do stuff, you're getting your brand out. And touch wood, there's been a couple of great things. Like, I work closely with Number 10, so I've been invited to 10 Downing Street a few times to give my opinions on small business. For the work I do, I got acknowledged by the Queen's Garden Party, so I got to go to the Queen's Garden Party.
Oh, very nice.
And yeah, so and that all adds to the story. That puts another brick in the house, because the more bricks you put on, the higher the house becomes. The more people know you, the more people respect you, the more people like you, the more people trust you. It's that whole cycle. But I think it's having a strong plan, taking the action, and working really hard, and being tenacious. You're going to get knockbacks, you're going to get things, and it's about thinking, right, what have I learned from this? I love it when things don't go according to plan, because that gives me something to learn from to get even better. And so many people, when things don't go according to plan, they give up. I think it's that it is mindset. I've definitely got growth mindset, and I think anybody can have. You have to choose. You make your own choices.
Yeah, like, this is a thing. I would say quite a lot of people, like, I think quite a lot of people fall down on two things. It's like, one, mental fortitude, and like execution is one of those things. I'm like, I'm gonna do this, and like, they go, someday I'll be doing this, or one day I'll do that. And when it comes down to sort of executing that plan, yeah, they'll fall down once, fall down twice, and they're done. Or
I think even those two words, someday and one day, they're wishy-washy. You never get anywhere with wishy-washy. If you say to yourself, I am going to be, it's like TV, right? And I tell you who, there's a lot of people out there I don't respect in a lot of the spaces. And there's some people, and I'm not naming and shaming, but there are some people that I do think, if you look at somebody like Gary Vee, I think he's a prime example. Gary Vee, for me, is somebody who, if you look, he kind of reverse engineered what he did, because media, to me, again, as you mentioned, you get to mainstream, don't you? If you get yourself on the media, then you'll be able to get your message out. And Gary Vee, got on TV doing the wine stuff because his family had the wine stuff. It's a bit like him getting on to This Morning, isn't it? He's the regular on there. People are watching This Morning. I mean, Joe Wicks is another prime example. He's done a really grand job at really creating his brand. And I admire Joe Wicks and Gary Vee so much. And I think that's where you spread it across from there. They've managed to get in media, whereas a lot of people try and create this stuff and then get media afterwards. Whereas I think media is a definite way to spread your message. So I wanted to be on TV. Now, it was funny, I started the business and I said, I want to be in the Sunday Times, I want to be in the Telegraph, I want to be on the BBC, and I want to be on LBC. And this is years ago, and I mean maybe 7 or 8 years ago, and people were laughing. Ha 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 ha. Yes, so does everyone. I went, but you've not met me. This is going to happen. Ha 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 ha. Because I said I will be. It's not I want to be. Maybe I said that I want to be, but I will be. I will be doing all these things, and that's the difference in that mindset. And I mean, to start off, like, I got some coverage on the local radio, local stuff. And then I got a bit of a break because they were looking for somebody in the southwest to be on TV to talk about the election several years ago, and they found me, they Googled, and I came up at the top of the search. And again, because I'd been plodding away on all my PR, all my Google, all my stuff. So, you know, people can say, oh, it was a break or it was lucky. It wasn't. I'd been working my backside off to be able to grow the profile. And then as soon as you get national, it kind of snowballs from there. But I've not finished yet. I mean, there's still plenty more to do.
Yeah, like, hey, there's the rest of the world, so there's that as well. So yeah, but with regards to like when you got first on national TV and everything like this, how long was that sort of time frame? Because there's a lot of grassroots work.
That was maybe 3 or 4 years. It could have been longer, 4 years. But I mean, I think the other thing that you've always got to remember is I've got to run a business. I've got a team. I've got staff wages to pay. And like at the moment when everybody's furloughing, I've actually recruited. So I've not only got, you know, the team, I've taken on another team member, because this is the thing. If everybody else is on furlough, everybody else is like putting the brakes on. I've put my accelerator on so that I can run faster and quicker and get out there even more. So I call myself a salmon. I kind of go against the tide, that even like there's a lot of people who are doing free stuff. Oh, you know, I really want to help. I'm going to do a free webinar. I'm going to do free this, free that. But are they running a charity? I'm not running a charity. I'm running a business. So when everybody else is doing free, I did webinars on positivity, pivot, and proactivity. And I charged £12.50 plus, including VAT, so a tenner plus VAT. And we had 54 people on it. So that was like 510 quid for 1 hour's delivery. But that helps pay my wages for the staff, you know. So I think it's been quite savvy in what you do as well.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And like, I'm loving the fact that you're actually taking on staff during these times, because I know, well, put it this way, I try not to watch as much news, but with the news and everything like this, it's definitely going one way. Like the message is definitely going one way. With regards to some salespeople who would turn around and go, can't really sell in this environment because COVID-19, what would you say to them? I have an idea what you would say, but what would you say to them?
I think you need to watch your mindset on that, because if you feel that you can, again, I talk a lot about take that. I'll explain that in a minute. But if you wake up in the morning and you think, oh, the world is awful, it's all going to fall apart, I'm really worried about my job, I'm this, I'm that, and you're all those thoughts that are going through your head, what that does is it feeds straight into anxiety, that you're worried, you're anxious. And then if you do decide, oh yeah, well, that means I can't pick up the phone, maybe I'll just send them an email. Oh no, maybe I shouldn't do that. Oh, I don't want to offend them. I don't want to worry them. Oh, and again, you're feeding that worry circle. So people say, how do you overcome that, Alison? How do you change your mindset? Well, and again, I do this anyway. I think that I don't know whether, again, I don't know the answer to this. You know, is it nature or nurture? Why am I so positive? Was it because how I was brought up, how I was born? Is it in my genes? I don't know. I think a lot of it is involved in your upbringing. That, you know, my mum and dad always, you know, we had no money. I was brought up in a high-rise council flat. You know, we had no garden growing up, so I can relate, you know, to a lot of people at the moment.
Alchemy.
And we had no money. You know, we had no money. We at the end of the month we had to live on mashed potato and beans. We didn't even have enough money for the cold meat to go with it. You know, so that I come from that background. But one thing, my mum and dad always taught me that I could be whatever I wanted to be. You know, it's up to me. I'm in charge of my own destiny. They also told me there's a thin line between confident and cocky. Sometimes I didn't know where that line was. So, but I do think, again, it's how you feel. So at the moment, we get Alexa. So Alexa goes off at 6 a.m. I'm usually awake before that, but she goes up and she'll say, good morning, it's 6 a.m. Here's the news. So we get the news. And then she'll say, have a good day. And she plays the Beatles, Here Comes the Sun, because I love the sun. So again, you know, I wake up, it's going to be a great day, great day. So then the next thing I'll do is I'll put on Take That, because today, this could be the greatest day of your life. Somewhere in lockdown in the UK, some guy won £58 million. So you know what? It was the greatest day of his life. So if you wake up with that thought process, then what happens is you actually feel good. You feel buoyant. I'm going to have my shower. I'm going to get ready. I'm going to go out for a walk. I'm going to smash Today is, I'm going to smash it. Then what happens when you move into sales, you think, you know what? I'm going to pick up the phone and have a chat with someone, just check out how they're going on, see what I can do to help them, see if my product that I'm selling matches what they need. And I'm going to have that call. And then the call goes really well. You have the chat with them, and then you feed in and go, wow, today this could be the greatest day of my life. And you're going round in the circle. It's the CBT circle. So that's where, you know, you've got to wake up first thing and feel like you're Gary Barlow.
I thought you were going to go with Robbie, but no, Gary Barlow.
No, definitely is a Gary Barlow. But then some, you know, the other thing is, especially in lockdown, not every day is a great day. It's tough. You have to work hard to make it the greatest day. So some days it's a Jason Orange day or a Howard Donald kind of day. Even in the middle, you might have a Mark Owen kind of day. You know, you have different scales of greatness in your day. But if the one thing for sure is, if you don't think it's going to be a great day, you know what? It's not going to be a great day.
Yeah, no, I have to agree. Like, great days, like not even great days, good days have to be earned. And sometimes if you're not willing to pay the price to get those days to be good to great to excellent, you'll often find that the day would lead itself down a garden path you sometimes don't want it to go down, and it makes it that much tougher. And I can imagine.
And it's easy, and I think, you know, that's the thing, and this is the stuff that we cover in the new book, because it's easy to have, you know, things happen that are out with your control. And you know, you talked earlier about watching the news. So many people just sit there all day watching the news. Nothing's changing. You know, you can only focus on the things that you can control, and you can't control what's going on. You can't control if your neighbours are out doing the Congo, or like 25 of them are sunbathing. You can't control that, but you can get stressed and het up about it, and then that leads to a bad day. All you can do is do what you can do in your day, focus on your stuff, and ultimately you're the one that makes it a good day or a bad day. So I think it's just keeping that focus on, you know, what you want, why you want it, and what you're going to do to get it.
Loving it. Yes. I know today, I'm not too sure when that's going to happen, but the Chancellor is going to talk about the whole furlough scheme later today. It's out, future furlough scheme, nothing as yet. But I know there are a number of people watching that carefully, myself included, because I know I'm directly affected to what happens to that scheme. I'm not too sure what a lot of employees are going to do if they went, okay, June, it definitely ends. Is it going to be a huge sway of people being made redundant, or is it going to be a case of, okay, now it's time to take the brakes off and get to work? I'm not too sure where it's going to go with that.
I mean, I think it's an interesting one, because if I know that I work closely with number 10, but I don't know the answer to that one. I would suspect, again, you know, we talked earlier about, you know, how do you make money in a business? You sell more, you know, spend less. How do you lose weight? You exercise more, you eat less.
Yeah.
The government is not a money tree. It's not got an endless pit of cash. So my suspicions would be that it will change, and it wouldn't change in a positive manner for the people who are furloughed or the businesses. But again, you can only control the things that you control. I would say undoubtedly there will be unemployment, there'll be redundancy. You know, we can't control that. But what you can do is control you and your employability. You know, this is the time when you're on furlough to be learning new tricks, to be quicker, to be slicker. You know, so when you go for an interview, if you are in a sales role, like, well, what have you done? Well, what I've done is I've been doing, like, I've read Alison Edgar's book, or I've done Alison Edgar's online course. And what I've done is I've changed my LinkedIn profile. And what I have done is actually I've connected to 25 people who are decision makers in some of the UK's largest blue chip companies. And what I've done is this, and what I've done is that, because, you know, as an employer, so imagine football or any sport, right? You're in the sport, you're the manager of the England football team, and you've got the choice of every single English football team player in the whole world, right? You've got the whole world in your hands. You know, you're going to want your best players in there. So I think that's the same as any sales manager or business owner. you know, there might be people who actually are in your team currently who you're going to either put in the subs bench or you're going to let them off the squad, and you're going to bring in the best players. So how do you get on the squad? Well, you practice football every day. You practice your tricks. You speak to David Beckham and you ask him, hey, David, how do I flick the ball? Hey, David, what should I do? Hey, David, what do we do with this? I'm not saying that he'd answer you. Do you know what I mean? But this is the time, and anybody who's like worried about it, don't put your head in your hands. Don't make excuses. Go and learn new tricks so that you make sure you're in the squad. You can control your own destiny.
Loving it. Like, well, this is, I think what you're saying, a lot of people need to hear this. It's a case of, I think there has not so much an over-dependence to sort of like go, woe is me, with the circumstances which...
Oh, poor you.
Yeah, with the circumstances, how it's played out with this pandemic, there are going to be people who are being made redundant, no fault of their own and stuff like this, like feel like it's out of control. But as you say, it comes down to you control your own destiny. You can like make the decision to go forward, go back, or just sit down. So I would say people need to listen to this because I foresee a recession coming, and like this is like just because of the nature of the global economy right now. And I think it's going to be a case of no excuse barred. Is if you're going to sit back and like blame everyone else, you're not going to get anywhere, and it'll be tougher.
And I think it's hard. I mean, what we haven't touched on, and I think, you know, it's really important. People are actually losing their lives. They're losing their loved ones. They're losing their lives. And I think mentally, you know, having lost both my parents, not to the virus, this is years ago, that takes a wee bit of, you know, really getting over your mindset, really, because it's the stages of grief, isn't it? And I think a lot of people, even if they're made redundant or things are happening, they're going through the stages of grief. You know, they're going through the pain, the agony, the anger. You know, a lot of people are going through the anger phase at the moment. Because it's not their fault that this has happened. But again, you know, you have to make sure you touch the boxes in there. And again, like grief, sometimes you can be going along happy as Larry and the grief just hits you like a tsunami in the face. Again, you know, and I think it's really important we touch on this because people, you know, mental health to me is a huge thing. But again, you've got to acknowledge the noises and then say, actually, do you know what? These noises are not rational. I've got to stop this noise now and think a positive thought because, again, it's easy to get sucked in. And, you know, we've, in our family, we've had 2 young victims, young boys take their own life. And that's you know, next generation down from me. And I think, you know, I'm a mother of 2 young boys myself, and I'm really conscious of it, that it's okay. My mum's theory to life was, again, you know, just put a pin up your backside and get on with it. And I think that does work, but you have to listen to the noises before you can put the pin in your backside yourself. You've got to think, actually, it's okay for me to feel sad. It's okay, you know, I really should talk to somebody about that and really find yourself a confidant that's not a confidant that's going to just fester your negativeness or just pat you on the back, but will pat you on the back and help you come out the other side. So I think that's really important, is surround yourself with people who really can help you come out the other side as well.
Yep. Via Zoom, like group, or any way you can. Yeah. We're not meant to do this world by ourselves.
No, definitely not.
No. It's definitely a team sport. Liking it. Yeah. So you've sat on as a judge for many an entrepreneur and everything like this. Yeah. So may I ask, which has been the most interesting, like, entrepreneur you've seen over the course of time, where you're like, gone, you are interesting. They might not be necessarily be the best, but they definitely were interesting.
Oh, I'm blessed to work with some absolutely stonking young entrepreneurs. I love young people. They kind of, they float my boat. I'm not saying that older people don't, but so my client base includes Ben Towers. So Ben Towers did a multi-million-pound merger when he was 18. Richard Branson wrote a blog about him. He was like Power Team 100. So Ben rocks my world. And again, he's now 21. I think he'll be 21 in September. And I've been, you know, part of his circle since he's been 15. I first met him when he was 15, so 6 years sort of as the entrepreneur's godmother. And I think the brilliant thing is these young entrepreneurs have got brilliant minds. So we have conversations, and there's no age boundary. It's like we have a conversation and there's no age boundary. It's amazing. Jordan Dakin, he was the youngest contestant to get funding on Dragon's Den from Deborah Meaden. He exited his business and he's now got like other businesses. He's like a serial entrepreneur, and he's an introvert as well. He's quite quiet. And again, love it. Simon Crowther, he's got flood protection services. So these are all judges. So we met through Entrepreneur of the Year awards, and it's really odd because there's big age difference. And Ali Shadrach, she does the PR and stuff, and there's like 5 of us, and we're called the Misfits because we're great friends. But like, there's a range of like teen. In fact, it goes from like teens 20 to 50. But again, we're great friends. But one of the best businesses now. Oh, I cannot remember the name of the company, but I tell you what it is. His name is Michael Harkness, and his business is, I think it's something like swimming turtle. It's a swimming aid for children, right? And it's in the shape of a turtle, right? So if you've got a kid that's learning to swim and say that they're using a float, what will happen is their legs will sink, their feet will sink, and they have to kick really hard to stay on a straight path in the water. This is like they put this turtle shell on their back, and it means that their feet are at the right level to learn to swim. And as they get better, you take some of the like, it's a bit like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, but it's got shell layers. And as they get better, you take a shell layer off. So again, it's like they tick the box, they get a reward, they get the shell layer, and then they get down to one shell, and then they take the shell off and they can swim. Genius. Michael Harkness is his name, and it's something to do with turtles. I can't remember, but I love it. That was one of my favorite ones that I ever judged.
Oh, brilliant. You must have, wow, that is crazy. Like, I've got to say, you Harkness with the Misfits, I'm liking it. So so with this, you've basically volunteer monitor, like TEDx. How on earth did you become a TED speaker?
Well, that was one of the goals. And I'll tell you exactly why. So when the book Secrets of Successful Sales was in W.H. Smith's, it was in the top 10, and the book next to it was How to Talk Like TED, or something to do with TED. And a guy who was running a TEDx knew me because he'd heard me speak at another event, and he said, would you like to come as my guest, or would you like to be on the lineup? I went, I'd like to be on the lineup. So again, it's just another, brick in the wall to get the wall higher so that more people know you. So it's, again, good kudos to be asked.
So it was just, hey, just fortuitous. It was just like, there you go.
Well, I suppose it's as fortuitous as Ed Sheeran playing at Madison Square Garden.
In other words, you've done a lot of work in the background to get there. Okay, no worries. I hear you. With regards to the future, like we know about your forthcoming book coming early 2021. What other sort of goals would you say you would like to achieve in the next, say, 5 years?
So interesting. My husband keeps saying about retirement, and I'm like, I'm not retiring. I just want to keep going. I want to do more speaking internationally, and again, who knows what's going to happen with the world moving forward. But I'd like to do an event in Australia. I used to live in Australia, so I'm looking for any excuse to get back for a holiday. And the fact that somebody would pay me to go, so I want to do that. I want to do more in the States. As you mentioned, that the States have a big, they are really right into personal development. They're right into sales. So I think as a woman as well, in the space that I'm in, it's quite a male-dominated space. So I think they need like a blonde, pink Scottish woman to rock it. And who knows? I would like to do more media. I'd like to, do more in that space, and maybe even a third book. There might be a third book kicking around.
Yeah, I'm sure there will be book number 3 as well. Let me see. Like, if there was one thing you would say for the forthcoming times, what would you advise any entrepreneur to do?
Learn new stuff. I mean, every day is a school day. The day that you think that you know your stuff is the day you know nothing. So I think, and even when you think you know stuff, the way that things change in the world, it's so fast. Surround yourself with really cool people who know more than you. And I don't mean, so like, I talk about my misfit friends in entrepreneurship. I'll always run things past them and go, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? So, you know, just have that peer group of people that you really genuinely know, and I've got your back. I think it's about having people, having your back, and always have a growth mindset. So you've got to have a growth mindset.
Excellent, excellent. If you had, like, do you have any questions, or if there was a question you could ask people, what would that be?
Well, not really, but if they wanted to know more, then maybe they could visit AlisonEdgar.com, entrepreneursgodmother.com, or if they've got a sales team, salescoachingsolutions.co.uk, or grab a copy of the book. It's on special on Kindle at the moment. I don't know when we're releasing the podcast, but in May I think it's only £1.99. So Secrets of Successful Sales. So that's how they get a hold of me, and that's, the book is a brilliant place to start to learn new tricks.
Do you have it on audio as well?
Yes, I did. Now there's a story, because I narrated it myself, so I really struggle to read. So reading, not only can I not write, I really struggle to read. So, I could talk all day about recording it, because it was like one of the toughest things I've ever done in my life. And, again, I'm blessed with young people who support me. So there's a boy called Taylor, and Taylor was the editor of the book, the producer and editor. And he's in LA now. He's actually a music producer, and he works with some cracking bands. He's a proper LA producer. But he used to live not far, and he's a friend of Ben Towers. And bless him, I think that he probably records for artists all over the world, and nothing would be as tricky as recording my book, because I couldn't get through a paragraph without reading it and making a mistake, and he would make me stop all the time. And at the time we were watching The Crown on Netflix, and he would go, "No, Lilibet, you have to do that one again." I go, "Oh, Philip, again?" Go, "Yes, Lilibet." So, there's a whole story behind the audiobook recording.
Oh, brilliant, brilliant. Fan of The Crown as well? Like, yes, you'll get on well, my lady. She likes The Crown. How can I say it? As soon as it comes on Netflix, she consumes it
Yeah,
it's
literally very bingeable.
Yes. That and Peaky Blinders. I
love that too. I love a bit of TV.
Oh, brilliant. Oh, like, you must have obviously seen the Netflix phenomenon called Tiger King.
Oh, do you know what? I started and it wasn't me. It was a wee bit too reality TV. I like the whole escape from fiction and all that sort of stuff. I've been watching Outlander. That's been my little binge. So I've been doing it. See, I say, look, you work hard. I get up really early, but you need to have downtime, and that's my guilty pleasure, a bit of Netflix.
Excellent. Loving it. Oh, good. I'm amazed you didn't like Tiger King, because all I've got to simply say is that thing is, it is reality, but that most definitely is fiction.
I might have another go at it. It is still in my little box to watch.
Oh, perfect. Yes. Oh, coming up to an hour. Would it, I know you gave out some of your details before, but could you repeat them again so no one misses it? I'll also put them down in the the description, or the edit, the show notes as well. So yeah.
No problem. It's AlisonEdgar.com. That's EDGAR. The entrepreneursgodmother.com. Salescoachingsolutions.co.uk, or just literally, if you Google Alison Edgar, you'll find I consume quite a lot of pages on there. So I'm literally not hard to find.
Yeah, no worries. I'll definitely put the information down in the description, show notes. Yes. Everyone needs a godmother, And yes, who's better than the entrepreneur godmother, Alison Edgar? I have to say thank you very much for your time today. You have been amazing. I'm loving the stories. I'm definitely going to have to track you down again in the future, talk some more. And yeah, you have been superb. Wonderful, my lady. Wonderful.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me. Have a good day.
You have a great day too. Okay. Okay, everyone. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for your time. This is Miwa saying goodbye. It's it. Alison saying goodbye. I'd like to just say stay safe, stay well, be awesome, be excellent, be all the positive bees you can be in this world. And yes, I'll see you next time. Peace.